If you're out and about, it's no surprise to hear people speak in an offensive way. Foul language, corrupt speech, and I still find it stunning. I'm not surprised, but it's just rather remarkable that people can speak so casually and offensive with ugly words. There's an article, and this fellow has a secular perspective, but it's rather interesting because it's not out of self righteousness that we're offended by such language. It just seems to be out of place because it's just out of place. But a fellow by the name of Bob Greene, he's a field syndicate writer, wrote this. I want you to think about it for just a moment. Obscenity, the open use of which used to be a mark of the lower social strata, has somehow become acceptable. Isn't that amazing? That language like that is now acceptable when in our culture and society at one time it would have been offensive. And the remarkable thing is, it seems to be so casual. He goes on to say he's not saying this out of a sense of morality, and I would disagree with him there because I think it is immoral. I think it does reveal character. I don't think it's wholesome. It just reflects so much because Jesus talks about it, out of the treasure of our heart a man speaketh. And it's just appalling that in our society there's such raw language anymore. Now, Paul says over in Titus chapter 2, and it's an interesting verse there in verse number 8. Of course, he's been talking about character and how we ought to live in this world, our behavior and our conduct. And then he gets down to how we ought to talk. And what he says in verse number 8 is sound in speech that is above reproach. How about that? Let me encourage you. Now, I know that I just know that every once in a while somebody will slip up. And we need to be careful about that and not slip up so much. But there's another thing about just the coarse, raw language that's so fluent in society today. Now, remember, the Holy Spirit is speaking through the writer, and he says, we need to have sound speech, wholesome speech. I know it's wider than just profanity that is above reproach. Give it some thought. Give some thought to our words. I'm kind of hoping, aren't you, that our society will find the raw language, and I don't even want to get into the depths of that, but I think we ought to really be thinking a little deeper about this, how offensive, how out of place, how reflecting character, how it's just dead wrong. Well, that's the thought for this morning. But let me encourage you to have wholesome speech that's encouraging and it uplifts, and it certainly doesn't involve raw, coarse language. Well, that's the thought for today, and I'll see you tomorrow.